Now we would look at starch-sugar balance. This is another similar concept where we look at the chemistry and relative proportion of starches and sugar that are present within these tubers. And as you know that this balance would have impact on the overall quality of these tubers, suitable for different food applications or other application in industry of these starches. So this, as we know that normally temperature of the storage has to brought down from 10 to 2 degrees C for these tubers, and then this is reversed, like it goes from 2 to 10 degrees C as well when we take these tubers out of storage conditions. So this has led to this concept of sugar and starch balance that people are interested, scientists are especially interested to know that what is the sugar-starch balance and is it how it is related with overall quality of starches. So this concept is there, although this concept in other fruits and vegetables, it is different that we want to have a desirable sweetening level, so we would have to have a desirable starch to sugar level, but in case of tubers, this high sugar is not desirable in many cases, but this concept is also considered for the quality parameter of these tubers as well. And we know that if you look at the processes, the sucrose is formed from starch, and this is more like an irreversible pathway. And similarly, this conversion of starch from formation of starch from sucrose is also, it is a different process, but it is more likely again like a irreversible reaction as well. So both of the reactions are by nature quite irreversible. And there's also another information that there is a very close relationship between starch and sucrose in starch potatoes, and the reason for that close relationship is that this starch is the only source of carbon. This is present in tubers, and that is the only source from where we can generate this sucrose. So sucrose cannot come from any other source, we know that. So that is why we tend to think about that there is a very strong correlation and how we can actually utilize this information. And similarly, there is an evidence that this glucose 6-phosphate is transported into the amyloplast of potato tubers. That also supports this synthesis of starch as well. So these concepts, they lead to assume that this concept of starch-sugar balance is very important. It's very much related as well, and this must be studied. And another important thing to know that the pathways for both this sucrose to starch synthesis or from starch to sucrose, they are also quite similar. They have the same pool of precursors that are used in those reactions. Although they are reaction in opposite directions, they are both very different, but they also compete for the same precursors that are present in the same environment. So that is why this makes it a little complex, and it is also the mechanism that controls this is very complex due to this factor, and it is very important to know that what exact condition would be favoring what kind of reaction, whether it is starch formation or starch biodegradation. And they are very fine mechanisms, and they are very much controlled mechanisms as well. So that makes it a little more complex, but this is also important to understand that what these mechanisms are and how they are regulated on the basis of on the genotypic variation basis. And once we know that what genes are involved for these mechanisms and how they can actually regulate these reactions, especially these two reactions, then probably we can utilize this information to make more suitable products as a biotechnology intervention. So these are the basically concept of starch and sugar balance, how they are linked with each other, how they are similar and how they are very much controlled mechanism. And we need to understand, as we earlier said also, that these mechanisms are not very much well defined or well understood, and then the effect of these genes on the chemistry of these starches, and this change in the chemistry of starches, then its role on the functional properties and different uses, they are not very well known, but there is a huge market need and demand for development of such new products. So there is a lot of research, concentrated research, that is going on in these areas to tame these resources in a way that we produce more useful economic products which have got better application in different industries.